Alrighty. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for clicking on this video and giving it a chance. My name is a 21st Century Man. Uh, Not the 21st Century Man. I want to delineate that, be clear. Just a 21st Century Man. If that gives you an idea of where this channel's coming from, or maybe you can just relate to it, because I know a lot of you out there can. You're just out there as a 21st Century Man. This is just my perspective on life, and just every day, hopefully, gonna upload something about what's going on in the world. Not really that. Not gonna tell you what's going on in the world. Who cares what's going on in the world? Charlie Kirk got shot or something. People are upset about it. I'm not here to tell you who to be mad about, who to be mad at, who to be happy with. That's for you to decide. I'm just gonna probably rant about random BS that's going on in my life. Try not to swear too much. Trying to be a nicer person. And I'm currently working a customer service job. A glorified cashier is what I call myself. And I'm interacting with the daily public 24/7. And, I was driving home from work today having an existential crisis about existence. Why am I here as a 30-year-old balding 21st century man? Why am I here? What bad decisions, and there are plenty, that I've made in the past. How the heck did I get here in this glorified cashier position in a hospitality customer service type field? And I had to work hard to get that job too, by the way. I applied to hundreds of jobs. I had a decent job before working for a corporation. It was customer service type related, but it was a little bit more intricate. It took a college degree and stuff. It was in the medical field. And I figured once I quit that job, hey, which we'll get into another day, why I quit that job and the circumstances around my life that led me there. But I figured, hey, I can get another job. It'll be fine. And I can at least get the equivalent job that I had. I had 3 years of experience. I had a good resume before. I got multiple college degrees. Who cares, right? I can take a chance here and leave my job, move across the country. And I found out very quickly, after, a lot of rejection letters, a couple of interviews, but nothing that stuck. I found out pretty quickly that I wasn't that special. There's a lot more realistic people that they could hire to fill those roles, especially if it was just, talking on the telephone or helping out with some sort of tech problem and stuff like that. They don't want to hire a 21st century man. A 21st century man should be doing physical labor, I guess, or something, which I can't do because I'm physically incapable of doing it. And I'm not obese. I know what you're thinking. That's where your mind went. I'm not obese. I'm actually the opposite. Slender, tall, but just not very strong. Especially in my legs and stuff, and my hips and my rear end and blah blah blah. And I have a terrible back. I have the back of a 104-year-old. So it just wasn't very realistic for me to enter a construction field, and plus I went to college. I did the whole shebang, and I felt proud about myself and I'm intellectually superior. That's a 21st century man wrapped up in a nutshell. Right? Intellectually superior. That's how I felt anyways. That's what a college degree does to a man sometimes, a 21st century man. But found out real quick, not really true. No one gives. And, fair enough. But I can't really do physical labor. I'm trying to get to a place where I can do it because I think that's where this is heading. I'm going to have to. That's going to be the only job available to a 21st century man here pretty soon. Especially there's the corporate existence hiding behind a computer screen. That's what's going to go first. It's already going. People are getting laid off left and right from it, or there's just no jobs available. I was applying for in the medical field, just applying basically for the same jobs that I had previously. And, good references, yada, yada, yada. And they didn't know. They're like, no, 21st century man. we'll hire Lucy or Michelle, or I don't know. I don't know who they hired. Somebody else. I'm actually not really convinced that they hired anybody. I think they were just kind of interviewing people, looking for the unicorn, looking for... I don't know. I'm only saying that because I'm a little bit butthurt still. So, whatever. Anyways, let's return to my drive home and the existential crisis. You just got a glimpse of it right there. So I face customers all day long, and I'm constantly just worried that I'm going to get called out for being rude or whatever and lose my job. And, you know, most of the time I'm pretty pleasant. I try my best, but I don't want to be working this job. I'm making minimum wage plus. I'm alone. I'm a 21st century man. There's so many people out there that can relate to that. Just the alone part of it, right? Just total loneliness. I don't have a woman in my life. That's a joke. I can't attract a woman into my life. It's not even like a physical attraction thing, even though, you know, who wants a 30-year-old balding man that doesn't... But here's the kicker. The key operative phrase, I haven't even got to it. The balding part, whatever. I don't have any money. I don't have a good career. I can't afford a house. I can barely afford I have a roommate. I mean, if it wasn't for my roommate, who makes more money than me, even though he's unemployed at the moment, at the time we signed the lease, he had more money than me. And that's the only reason I can live here. If it wasn't for him, I would never be here, I guess. I would still be back where I came from. Probably living at home. Right? Like most 21st century men. Most 21st century men aren't living at home still with their mom, but the feeling is still there. They could be. They're probably living with a wife that feels like a mother, or fills that role. But hey, that's a conversation for another day, right? Anyways, 21st century man is always facing customers, and I'm constantly just like, oh my god, someone's gonna write a bad review about me because I was a little curt with them, or I had to tell them no, you can't do that. And I'm in a bad mood sometimes, and it's just like, I am curt sometimes with people. I can't help it. It's the general public. They ask dumb questions. But I try here's the thing. Most of the time I'm good, but then there's just moments where I'm like, oh man, that was not a good interaction. Am I gonna get chewed by my boss because he saw a bad review online, and I have a name tag on, and I'm introducing myself left and right, and it's the end of my shift, and I have a headache, and I want to go home, but I'm still having to answer the phone over and over and over again, or someone's walking through the door, and I gotta tell them no, they can't do that, and then they're like, well, can you bend the rules maybe a little bit? And I gotta be like, no, I can't bend the rules. These interactions are driving me insane. And, you know, I'm working the same job that I basically did when I was in college and starting out. College. So, 17, 18, 19 probably, when I first started. Same job I have now, just a different location. In the hospitality, glorified cashier, as I keep saying. Can't put that on a Bumble profile, unfortunately. Well, you can, but you're going to get laughed at. You're going to get as many swipes as I'm getting anyways, even though I basically am saying I work the former job that I have, which isn't glorified at all, but it's a legit institution. I just put the name of the institution on there. It's a pretty noticeable name, so people can it's literally a bait and switch. I admit that. But baiting and switching when I was in my youth, living in a Midwest city, we'll say. It was Chicago. I got stories from that city. What a messed up place. That place put some hair on my chest. One of my favorite jokes, actually, I swear we're going to get to the customer service thing, but one of my favorite jokes, it's from Andy Richter. He's on some show where he's getting interviewed in a diner by, I think it's David Koechner is his name. He's the guy, he's an anchor man. He's like bald in the middle. Funny guy. saw some interview. I saw a thumbnail on YouTube for an interview where he's talking about how he's an alcoholic and everything triggers him. And yeah, felt for the guy because I could see that. Could see that in his personality. I can maybe relate a little bit too. But anyways, one of my favorite jokes from Andy Richter is he was living in Chicago at the time, and the interviewer asked him, David asked him, so, general question, how do you like that city? And he's just like, well, why does the city keep hurting me? He's like, I just keep on walking around and be like, why are you hurting me? And that's so true. Can totally relate to that. Whether it be the cost of rent, which, in retrospect is cheaper than it is now. I'm living in Phoenix now. But the cost of rent, the people you meet, weren't pleasant. The parking tickets, Jesus Christ, I got so many parking tickets just having to park on the street because I refused to pay $100 a month for my parking in a garage that was a part of my apartment. So I refused that. I should have just done it, but because I paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars because I'd be on the wrong side of the street. And I'd either be, I'd fall asleep or, I was just being neglectful. But sometimes, at the beginning, it's like, oh, I'll get away with it today. Nope. The parking man's always coming by. They got people doing it. That's their jobs to do it. And then they got straight up cops doing it too. So good luck. And it's $100. It's probably $300 now. But why are you hurting me? So relatable. So relatable. Especially, he was a starving artist there, and I'm a starving 21st century man. I was in grad school at the time, doing that old charade, just completely wasting my time, and, working at a restaurant, lying my way to try and get laid. The weather sucked. The only thing I liked about that city was the public transportation. It's pretty pleasant sometimes. Just to have the ability to hop on the train and get to downtown or really most places. They got it, pretty well spread out. And, it costs you nothing compared to I had my own car there too, and I almost wish I wouldn't have. Other than for groceries and to collect parking tickets, that was the only reason I had a car. But that city, yeah. Why are you hurting me? So true. So true. Well, Phoenix is hurting me too. It hurts literally because it's 120 degrees here. And, even the pleasant days, it's 110 degrees right now until Halloween, it sounds like. But I'm constantly worried about having a bad interaction and being barked at and losing my job. And the fear... it's impossible to get out of because I keep telling myself this isn't the first interaction I've had with myself existential crisis on the way home where I'm like, God, I was a little bit rude to that person, and hopefully they don't get on Facebook or TripAdvisor or Yelp. There's 40 different places you can leave a review. So and so, a 21st century man was so rude to me when I asked him to do this, and because someone else, most of the time it's because one of my coworkers wasn't doing their job, which was the case tonight. A guy showed up late, just bad scheduling, we were understaffed, so it wasn't 100% his fault that this certain amenity wasn't available, but I'm the guy that says, no, you can't do it because we're closed, we don't have enough, we're not adequately staffed to make that happen for you. And I'm that guy. And I'm already just steaming because I know I'm the one who has to interact with the people and be like, it's the hospitality business. Everyone's part-time and struggling, and there's college kids and there's high schoolers and there's retired people, and then there's me, a 21st century man, trying to get full-time hours working a glorified cashier job in the hospitality business, where you got to smile. You got to be nice, even though people be breaking rules and stuff, and you're trying to be a man about it, and it's just hard not to sometimes try and enforce the rules. But then you got to worry about those pesky reviews. You got to worry about the feedback. because they can hire anybody. They put a job listing out for even this crappy job that's minimum wage plus. They'd probably get 40 applicants in the hour. I'm not even kidding. There's people that come into the business all the time looking for work. And it's college kids, it's a 21st century man. I'm looking at them too. They want my job even though they shouldn't want it, but they have to have it because they can't get any other job. Relatable. It's retired people. That's happening more too. It's like, why do you need $200 a week? Or you're going to get 2 shifts. That's all you want. But you need that to like, what, pay the grocery bills? What? Don't you have Social Security and like some retirement and stuff? And I get people don't, but my God, so many retired people just want a job, a part-time job. And it's like, I'm sorry, but as a 21st century man working this job full time, I got to deal with retired people now. I got to deal with grandpa. Like, he doesn't care. More than likely. He shouldn't care. I'm not saying he should, but he's just there to enjoy the rest of his life, I guess. But it's just like, why are you working here? Why do you need to work? I know it's an economic issue. I know all that. Things are beyond my control. That's going to be me in 40 years. 100%. Who knows? I'll probably still be in this position just begging for full-time work. And I'll have a Joker smile permanently put on my face. Because that's the only way I'm going to be able to get through customer interactions without getting written up or something. It's the only way I'm going to be able to smile. I can't do it otherwise. I'm just in a sour mood. I don't want to be there. I'm getting underpaid. I don't want to be where I'm living right now. I've made terrible decisions in my life, but I feel like I'm being overly punished for my questionable decisions on things like education and life choices. And I'm a 21st century man. I was bullied a lot growing up, and I didn't deal with it well, and I became kind of like I lost myself in it all. Plus I've had some deaths in the family and stuff. We'll get into it as this channel keeps on ticking along here, but I just wanted to get on here and introduce myself a little bit. I want to get this going. There's other people doing stuff like this, and they make ad money, and it supplements their income. And I enjoy listening to other people talk about their lives. I have other people who are talking to the same thing me as a 21st century man are saying. And I think I'm going to offer a unique perspective. It's from the bottom dwellers of society. Somebody who can't get a girlfriend because of his economic position, and I don't really have any outlets in sight. I'm looking around at the world and the news, and it seems pretty grim, which is just, hey, the existential crisis I face.